from Surprise in Arizona. Hope you're having a super fantastic sparkling day. Welcome to Before the Dirt Nap podcast number 1978, Time Capsules, a gift to future generations. But first of all, I have to tell you, I'm a sneaky dog mum. Somebody's down here eating her treats, which is actually full with half of her kibble and half treats. And I was hand feeding them to her. And then I got the bright idea of putting her medication in my hand underneath a couple of treats, and she ate the whole lot. So now she's getting the rest of the container as a good girl. And she's just hoeing into it. It's got kibble and treats all mixed into one thing. So yeah, sneaky dog mum. Sneaky treat. Just hide it underneath the thing that smells better than the medication smells. Anyway, time capsules. My question for you today is, if you were to create a family time capsule, what's one thing that you would include to represent your family history? Think about that. What would you include to represent your family history? Oh, good girl. See, all empty. So time capsules, what are they? Why would we use them? Time capsules are for a unique way to preserve your family history for future generations. Think about some of the time capsules that have been opened over time where buildings have been demolished, and there was a keystone rock, which was the keystone block that was there that was opened, and they were able to find time capsules inside that included things from the era when that building was built. Time capsules are found all the time when they're demolishing buildings, especially if they know that there's one in there. As kids, you may have taken an old school lunchbox and put some of your precious things in there and buried it in the ground. Have you ever unearthed that box again, that metal lunchbox, or is it still buried? Do you even know where it's buried? So what is a time capsule? That's a container holding items represent the present, this moment in time, to be opened at a future date. You could put in there a letter to your future self. You could put in there a letter to whoever's going to find this, to your future generations. But one thing that they have been used is that the keystone, which is the first brick or the first block of the foundation that has been laid, has often had in some places has had a time capsule in there. The time capsule is in an airtight container. It contains things like newspaper articles, the book of the year, like whatever the book of the year was. No, you're done. If you want more, go eat your dinner. It may have a recording, like a tape recording on a cassette tape player. It might have a DVD in there. It might have a CD in there. It could have, there could be all sorts of different things. Newspapers are a great one to see, what was current what was the current news on the day that the time capsule was sealed into this block or this brick. And then they can open it up later on, and there may have been photographs in there of the era. There could have been drawings in there if cameras weren't around at that time. But they've been used over time to capture a moment in time, so that when they open the container years later, when the building gets demolished, or there could be a way to access the time capsule at a certain date, because some of them have been by date, on this particular date, we're going to open this time capsule. And they can see then what things was like back in the past. To us, present day; to them in the future, this would be the past, what happened on that day and time. So there's all sorts of different things that you can do with them. You can create a family history time capsule. Preserve a snapshot of your family, of today's family stories, traditions, and milestones. And this will connect future generations with you, their ancestors, in a tangible way. Think about it. If you were to put a time capsule together about your family history, what would you put in there? What is the snapshot of of your family today that you want future generations to know about? Maybe, you just celebrated a wedding, or it could have been a wedding anniversary. Talk about that wedding anniversary. Maybe it was a milestone anniversary, like a 60th wedding anniversary. Maybe it was somebody in the family just had their 100th birthday celebration. Think of milestones that have happened in this particular year and talk about them. And you can write them. You can record them in some way. But just remember, future generations may not have a way to play that unless they can find it at a museum. So writing things down would be a good way to do it. It could be creating your family's story, just your immediate family's story, into a book, and putting that book into the thing that has photographs in there. It has some genealogy in there. It has stories from that current year in there. You may put a current newspaper in there. There are still newspapers that are printed. It could be a magazine that people like to read. It could be a sports magazine if your family's into sports. It could be a fashion magazine like a Cosmo or a Vogue or something like that, so people could see what, and you can even go in there with post-it notes and put your comments in there next to different pictures and things that are in those magazines. It could be your high school yearbook that could be in there with the page marked as, here I am, this is me. You know, it could be a piece of jewelry that has significant meaning in a family. It could be, I've seen that done too. It could be, I'm just trying to think what else. It could be like a little tchotchke thing, you know, something like this. This here is, this is my little kiwi. And these shiny bits on it are pawa shell, which is similar to abalone here in the States. And it's got a map of New Zealand on it and different town names and things. Because I've got where I'm moving to. Hang on, I need the magnifying glass. It's very tiny writing. Let's see. Not quite. Almost, but not quite. No, it doesn't have that on there. So, you know, it could be something like this. That was like a famous piece of whatever. It could have been like the game of the year. What was the game of the year to have? You know, every year for Christmas, there were all these toys and things, you know, what toys were there? It could be, you might have a list of the top 100 songs for 2024, or the top movies for 2024, or the top movie releases. It could be anything that you can think of that will survive time. And then you've got to find a container that is airtight. You do need one that is airtight. If you are doing writing, make sure that you put them into archival safe boxes. Use for paper items, use acid-free sleeves. And store it in a safe place in a family member's home, a safety deposit box, or even bury it if legal and safe. And involve the family. Have everybody come and host a time capsule party where everyone contributes items. You could even create a digital time capsule using cloud storage or dedicated apps. You could include QR codes linking to family trees, videos, online family albums. You could put in there photos, letters, heirlooms, recipes. You could put cultural items like newspaper clippings, holiday cards, trending items, personal touches like journals, handwritten notes, or recorded stories. Digital records like USB drives with scanned documents, videos, and audio clips. There's a whole bunch of stuff that you can put in there, but just make sure that it is an airtight, waterproof container. You want, and how big you make it is completely up to you guys. How big you make the time capsule. If you've got people, if you're doing a time capsule party and you've got people who want to contribute, and you want people to contribute from the family, make sure they know this is as big, this is the biggest piece that you can go, you can bring anything you want as long as it fits into, and give them dimensions so that you know that if everybody brings something, it's all going to fit within the box. Record videos of family members sharing memories or predictions for the future. So, record everybody putting something into the time capsule. Why are they putting that into the time capsule? What is the story behind it? What are their predictions for the future when this gets opened in 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years or whatever it is? So you're going to set a specific date. The family is going to have a specific date, like 10, 20, 25, 30, 50 years into the future. Choose a milestone such as a family reunion or an anniversary for it. Where is it going to make a list of where it's going to make sure people know where it's going to be kept as well, so that it can be found and accessed. If it's going to be, like 50 years in the future and you're currently 60, are you going to be around when it's opened? So make sure that somebody has the key to get into the thing. Encourage the kids, to include letters to their future selves or drawings. It could be a 5-year-old, my dream is to do this. My dream is to do that. I want to be, when I grow up, I want to be a programmer. When I grow up, I want to be a firefighter. When I grow up, I want to do this. And that way they can then, when they read those letters, 10, 15, 20 years down the road, they can turn and go, well, did I do that? This is what I'm currently 5 years old or 8 years old, 10 years old, whatever. In the future, this is, when we open this in 20 years time, this is what I want to have accomplished. You could add family trees with annotations about your discoveries. And it's just you can use the time capsules to preserve your research progress and include messages for future generations in your family, for the future genealogists. Hey, here's what we discovered. So this is what we've discovered so far. We may have, by the time you get to it, it may be expanded. This is how you can access it. So make sure that when you're putting stuff into time capsules, that people know how to access it. They've got the stories that are behind the items that are being put into the time capsule. It could be your favorite Barbie doll. I've got a doll. I still have a doll. She's sitting down in the closet right now up on a little shelf. I have a doll that I was given when I was like 4. I was either 3 or 4 when it was given to me. I still have my very first doll that I was ever given. At one point, I did still have the crib and the high chair that went with her, but my parents asked me if it was okay if they could give it to my niece. And I said, I have absolutely no problems. I still had the doll. These were pieces I probably wouldn't ever use. And I said, absolutely. So they stripped off all the paint that was already on there, painted it in this pink color, gave it to her. She was absolutely delighted. Does she still have it this day? I don't know. But the crib was given to me at the same time the doll was. And the high chair was a few years later. I got that one. But Mum sent me pictures of them all painted in this pretty pink color. And apparently my niece absolutely loved it. And she's now mum herself, so I don't know if she still has them and has passed them on to her daughter. I don't know. I will find out when I get back to New Zealand next year. It could have gotten lost in time over with moves and things like that too. But last I heard too, the rocking horse that us kids grew up with, my parents had donated it to the creche at the church that we were going to when I was in high school. Last report I heard, which was a few years ago, is that rocking horse was still in the creche and still going strong. They made things very well back there 50 years ago, 50 plus years ago. So I forgot to ask my parents if it's still in the creche or if they know if it's still in the creche. But there's a lot of kids have ridden that rocking horse over the years, and it was Dad didn't even have to do anything to it. The thing survived a lot of moves. It survived the abuse of us kids. Like we would rock that. It had these metal rods that went from the foot of the horse up to the base of where the rocking horse was sitting, and it would just swing backwards and forwards, and we would ride that thing like crazy. We wanted to see how fast we could make this thing go and how far we could go this way and how far we could go backwards, and we're just basically rocking it backwards and forwards. We abused the hell out of that thing. But like I said, last report, which was a few years ago, is that rocking horse was still in use in the creche in the New Plymouth Baptist Church. So, you never know. But when you're putting stuff into the time capsules, leave a note for those that are going to find it, especially if you may not be around. You may not be around when it's open, even if it's only 10 years down the road. You never know when life is going to end for you, whenever you're going to transition to the next level of existence. So be prepared for that. If you're not going to be around, what message do you want to tell your future self, in case you are there? Or what message do you want to pass on to your future generations if you may not be there? So do a nice rounded message where you're talking to yourself. Put goals and dreams in there as well, things that you want to accomplish in your lifetime. Put them in there. And then it's really cool when you look back at that list, 10, 20, 15 years later or 50 years later, what on that list did you actually accomplish? There you go. Now that's a curly question for you. Put in there, what are your goals and dreams? It might be that, I'm 58 years old and I still want to do this. These are the things that are still left on my bucket list to do before the dirt nap. Live your best life now. That's what, we're living our best life now. So before the dirt nap, I want to do da, 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 and put that in a letter in the thing, in an archive, acid-free sleeve to protect the paperwork, and put it into your time capsule and just make sure it's waterproof, it's airtight, all that stuff to help preserve what is tied up in there. And then figure out, as a family, what are we going to do with this time capsule? Where are we going to keep it? And just keep in mind too, that you may move a lot. You might, you could be like a military family or something like that, moves a lot. So burying it in the backyard may not be the best idea. Maybe it's taking out a safety deposit box and putting it all in there. Maybe it's just a box that you carry around with a big things taped on the top that says do not open until, and put a date on it. And then therefore family members are responsible for that box. So, have fun with it. And think about future generations. What would they think if they, what was your favorite t-shirt to wear? What was your favorite t-shirt? Maybe you want to put that in the time capsule. But just make sure it's airtight, it's waterproof, and that you've got a label on it. That's it, and you can even engrave the label and have it attached to the top of the thing, or just put a piece of paper on there with a whole bunch of tape over top that they can see through. It says, this is the Brahms family time capsule, not to be opened until, and put the date there. Yeah, that would be so much fun. I'm gonna have to think about that one. I might actually do one. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. I don't know. Be good for the grandkids. Maybe you can put some like inheritance stuff in there. Like if you've got silver or gold, got some precious metals that you could put into that time capsule. Especially if it's one that you're keeping in the family and it stays in your house in the back of the closet. And it just moves wherever you go, that box goes to. Oh yeah, make sure it's fireproof too. Just thought of that one. But with that, what would you put in a time capsule? What do you want your future generations to learn about you and this time in history? Because by the time they get to open it, this will be, our present time will be history. I mean, you got to think about that. I mean, we had my friend Francesca come on that time, and she's talked about the fact that we are the ancestors of our future generations. We'll leave you with that one. Go out, have a super fantastic sparkling evening, and we'll catch you guys back here tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. Pacific, I think. Hang on, let me double check this real quick. Where did my calendar? Is my calendar? Yes, at 6 p.m. Pacific tomorrow night. Yes, that's it. Okay, with that, we're out of here. Where did I go? There you are. I'm out of here. Go out, have a super fantastic sparkling evening, and we'll catch you guys back here tomorrow evening on New Year's Eve. And I know in New Zealand, it is already New Year's Eve. So for all my New Zealand friends and family that are watching, and those friends and family that are in Australia, have a super fantastic sparkling New Year's Eve. And we will catch you guys back here tomorrow, which will be your New Year's Day. And for everybody else that's here in the States and Canada, North America, Canada, England, have a super fantastic sparkling New Year's Eve tomorrow. And we'll be here tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. Pacific. Hei konera.